everybody is seated at a different station and has a different sort of tool or instrument interface of some kind that somebody in our group has made. The rules of these systems are sometimes unclear. Sometimes they're not what you would expect. It does things that you might not expect it would do normally.
Thank you for participating in our group's workshop, and hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, it was very odd. It was very weird.
I did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Very much. Super fun.
Enjoyed playing with the instruments that was there.
Yeah, I had
Okay,
a great
great.
time.
Did you know how the instruments were going to work before you entered this room?
Not at all.
No.
No, I had no idea.
No idea?
I knew it was going to be a kind of sound design based thing, and I imagined different group members would be doing different things, but I didn't know what they would be.
No, I didn't really have an idea. All I knew about this room was that there was sound coming out of it. That was about it.
Nope.
Nothing else. Okay.
I had no expectations.
No.
I didn't know how the individual instruments were going to work, but I did know that you were going to mess things up a little bit.
No, just like no idea.
No. Okay.
I didn't.
Okay. Before.
No, I had no idea.
No?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
So we're going to give everybody a second to kind of determine what exactly it is that their tool does. We'll go on ahead and start over here with Gab, and then we'll just sort of go around. I'm going to give you each like 15, 30 seconds, something, just get an idea of what exactly it is that your tool does. Listening for the other instruments. Okay. Oh yeah.
Did you feel that the tool you used was imposing limitations on you?
I'd say yes, because the sound base that I was using was very limited to a specific type of sound. But I'm sure you can do a lot more with it. Like if you use different electronic equipments within it, probably yes.
I feel like I was imposing limitations on the tool I was using. if I'd been given 2 hours beforehand to play with it, then maybe my output would have been a little bit better.
Well, there are definitely limitations with anything like that. So instrument number 2 has got basically pickup coils, and so it's more how it interacts with an electrical field. That does put limitations on what you're creating, and then also how you think about using it later on.
So
The opposite, actually. I didn't know what to do with all this stuff. And because I only had 2 contact mics, I was like trying things out, and there's a piece of aluminium foil that I still don't know what it does. I lost one of the marbles on the floor because I got kind of carried away with it. If anything, I would say I didn't feel like there was any limitation. Clearly I didn't want to break anything, but that was about it. I didn't know really what I could do or couldn't do.
A bit ridiculous is I'm going to ask you to work as a group. You're going to create some kind of work, some kind of creative piece. You're going to try and create something here in just a matter of seconds. It's perfectly okay that you may not have any idea exactly what the intricacies of your tool is. That's kind of the point. So we want you to try and interact with each other, listen, open your ears, and make something.
Did you feel that you were participating as a group member or an individual person?
Group member, definitely. I think having been introduced to each device, each piece of equipment before we started performing ensemble by Doug, is it Doug? Is that right?
Yeah.
Having been introduced to them all, you realize that you are functioning as part of a cohesive unit, so you can't just kind of do your own thing. Otherwise, it'll sound rubbish, you know. So yeah, I think as soon as you start recording it together, you know you're part of a team.
It was as a group, but there's always kind of a feeling of, because we hadn't quite worked out in advance what we were going to do, we didn't quite, obviously, as a proper group, you develop a much better understanding of what everything's doing, you know the instruments better. So I would like to have been a part of a group, but I did feel very much an individual was in part of it.
The first did it, I felt like an individual member. I was just trying to figure it out, and as I said, the sounds of my particular instrument were quite loud, so I felt like I was kind of overpowering, but then that made me more of a group member in the second round because I wanted to be part of the group and get the whole style of the workshop, and with such an imposing instrument, it then made me pare back and tune in with everyone else a lot more.
What our group is, again, is bias in creative technology. So what we're trying to communicate with this sort of absurd little workshop is we've presented you with all these tools that, again, one of us has made. And we want you to question how it is exactly that the tools that you use as creative people or in your profession, how do they inform the work that you do? Does the tool push you to do certain things that you wouldn't necessarily normally do? This is a really important thing, is bias is not necessarily a negative word. We're not saying that this is like Big Brother trying to tell you what to do, but it is there, and sometimes it can positively affect your work, sometimes it can negatively affect your work. And so be critical as you work on your own things in the future. But not only are we talking about the architecture of a tool and how there's bias inherent to the tool itself, but also the bias that each of us has when we use like a new tool. It's working.
It's working. I'm sure it's working.
What is this, man? Do I have to shake it?
No.
Oh,
No, it's working.
that's quite creative.
Oh, the visuals. Oh, I see.
Everybody has that moment where they go like,
Ah, dang!
So last question, what our group is trying to communicate here is there is bias in creative technologies. So do you agree with that, and do you feel that our workshop has helped you to highlight this?
Yes, and I agree with both. Again, mainly with the keyboard. The keyboard one I think is the most obvious one. The other ones are a bit less obvious, but they all kind of have their own reason behind it. But the keyboard one definitely brings that up because it's exactly what she said, which was like, I can't make sound of this. This is pointless. So that really.
That's a bias you
That's not
held.
something I thought for a while. So yeah, no, that was really interesting. Yeah.
Okay, do you have
yeah, absolutely. We have biases coming in to dealing with these pieces of technology, but there's a bias going the other way as well, where
Yeah,
you're expecting
from the-
it to
yeah.
do certain things. I think with technology being so readily available and with everyone being quite familiar with various parts of kind of technological equipment, particularly in sound, you have a predetermined idea of what things are going to do.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there are biases in creative technologies. I think that's clear. I thought the way the biases were differently arranged in each participant was good because you understood some of the limitations but in different ways. So if you hear one particular instrument that's not you, you hear it change, but you know the limitations, if you like, of its change. And you can play a little bit with that too when you're playing along. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, there's definitely bias in creative technology, and often it is extremely unnecessary bias, but often it's just what you learn and what you get used to. And when you feel comfortable with a program or a piece of technology, you continue to use it because you get to be more creative instead of focusing on technical difficulties. But what this made me think of is that when you actually forget about those biases and work through something new or use a new technology, the sense of satisfaction when you solve it and the things that you then open up for yourself for putting your bias aside because you have no other choice actually makes for more creative work. Even if you never use that piece of technology again, the knowledge you gain from trying to figure it out makes you better at problem solving when using creative technologies in the future.